Hi everyone, I'm Lindsey Kelly, one of the dietitians at Synergy Health and Wellness. Thank you for joining us for our Pantry pop-up series. Today we'll be going through my pantry and my fridge to see kind of what I have on hand, and we're gonna come up with a meal together. So before I make a meal, I like to think about the base versus the ingredients first. With meals, I like to have a carbohydrate, a protein, a fat source, and a fruit or vegetable, kind of depending on what the meal is. So let's go ahead and go look at my pantry first and see what we have on hand. I'm gonna open this up. So I have this organized in a couple different ways. I just have my baking stuff down here, but I keep all of my carbohydrates here. I don't have all my carbohydrates like my bread and my biscuit rolls in here. I keep those in the fridge because they last a little bit longer. But you can see that I always have some pasta, noodles, which Thai noodles, lentils, quinoa is a good protein source along with the carbohydrate, and then some brown rice and white rice. Normally I have a little bit more, but the grocery store doesn't have rice right now because we live in very interesting times we're in. So I like to look at this and see what I have. Okay, so good base maybe would be rice, quinoa, so we'll keep that in mind. Now let's move down to the canned goods. This is probably the most important part because they're the most shelf-stable ingredients. So you can keep them there for like years, technically. So we're gonna come down here, and how I have it organized is I kind of separated it into types of cooking just because I'm OCD like that. I have the Asian, more of the Mexican, and more of the Italian. So I have things like the soy sauce, the sambal, the coconut milk, and then something I always have on hand is like a good salsa. And beans. Beans are a good carbohydrate source along with a protein source. You can bake them, make them into a little snack. You can throw them in a bowl, make a pot of chili. They're very versatile. And then I have my like tomato paste, diced tomatoes, marinara sauce for those nights when you come home late from work or you just don't feel like cooking. You can just make a spaghetti. Okay, so let's move over to my fridge now. So in my fridge, and I did not make it look pretty because this is real life. I have, so I'm trying to investigate and see what I have. I have some crescent rolls, and these are getting pretty old, so I do know I need to use these soon. And then I have some spinach that's getting old, might want to use that. Staples always keep in my fridge, bread and eggs. We get farm fresh eggs, so they look a little bit outdated there, but they're not. And then produce. Produce is probably the one deciding factor to a meal, because that's what goes bad the fastest. But after watching Abby's video, I know how to keep my cilantro living longer now, which is always a staple for me. So I have some asparagus, Brussels sprouts. I just went to Costco, so I have a little bit more than normal. Green beans, rotten cilantro, throw that away. Some carrots and cabbage. Don't remember why I bought the cabbage, so keep that in mind. Probably have to use that soon. But I think what I think we want to do is probably use that asparagus first. So what I'm thinking is maybe making like a quiche. Quiche is probably the best thing to use to reuse old veggies, especially when they're about to go bad. So you just chop it up, cook it up, throw it in with some eggs, put it in the oven. Then you have breakfast, lunch, and or dinner. It's pretty versatile. And so I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna use the asparagus. I'm gonna put some feta in there for some fresh flavor. That'll be like kind of like the fat source. Fat is good in a lot of meals because it kind of helps with that savory flavor. It also helps us absorb certain vitamins like A, D, E, and K. So we'll have some feta. We'll have some eggs. I'm gonna take a look at these. They're really pretty. I just like to look at them. And then, let's see. Gotta get some milk in there. And then probably an onion too. I think that will be good. And so while we're here together, I'll also show you how to chop an onion. So now I'm going to show you how to dice an onion. We're going to use about half an onion for this recipe, so we'll put the rest in the fridge. So what you first want to do is cut off the ends. So get a good grip there. Put that aside. You might need to peel it a little bit as you go. Cut. Okay, this one looks like it might be going a little bit bad. So I'm just going to cut off this part. I normally wouldn't chop an onion like this, but because I do see there's a little brown spot there, we're just gonna cut it off. Okay, so now I'm gonna finish peeling the onion. Okay. And then I'm going to chop it in half again. Okay, so we're gonna set this one aside. I just throw those away. So now we have this flat surface, and this is what we want because this will keep it safe so it's not wobbling everywhere and we cut our fingers. So you want the flat surface. What I like to do is, so I don't have to keep dicing and dicing, is I cut it just down the middle, but I don't go all the way to the end, just so it's hanging on by a hair. And then you always want to have a bare claw because we don't want to cut our fingers. If we're cutting through, we don't want to chop off the ends of our fingers. So if we have a nice bare claw, then the knife will always just hit your knuckles and you won't chop off the tip of your fingers. So what we're first gonna do is kind of just make some slices. You can see that I'm still not going all the way to the end. This will help hold it together. All right, there we go. And now, looks like we've got some stragglers, put those aside. We can just dice. Then see, now we have some nice dices. You can tell this onion's going a little bit, not bad, but it's a little bit old because there's some green stuff growing there. Still totally edible. We'll probably pick it out a little bit. And then that end that we have left, kind of just give it a light little chop. And then you can see that you have some diced onion. So I think I have all my ingredients ready. I have my chopped asparagus, feta cheese, onion, salt, spices. We're gonna use garlic powder, onion, pepper. We have our eggs that we're gonna beat with our milk. But as I was looking at this, I was like, I feel like I'm missing something. And then I realized a quiche typically has a crust. And I don't feel like making a crust, and I don't have any crust. But then I remembered in here, I do have these crescent rolls. And so we're just gonna bake these up and eat them on the side. So they'll kind of be like a crustless quiche, kind of like a frittata, but we'll still bake it instead of pan frying them. So I'll set that aside. And I also realized that, yes, the eggs will be the protein in this. My husband is a meat eater, and so my dog likes to see what's in the fridge. We do have some chicken sausage, so I'm just gonna chop these up really quick. We're gonna throw them in there because I think he'll really like that. Bo wants that too. And then you know what? I'm gonna throw in some spinach too because this is kind of getting wilty. And it'll be easy just adding some more veggies. Won't even notice. All right, let's get cooking. So now that I have the asparagus and the onions kind of softened and brought out some of the flavor, I'm going to go ahead and add the chicken. This chicken is already cooked. Chicken sausage is already cooked. And so I'm just going to kind of turn it up to a high heat, just to give it a quick little brown to bring out more of that flavor. My dog just likes that chicken sausage that fell on the ground. There you go, Bo. The benefits of working from home, or cooking from home, right? Okay. So we're going to let that cook for a second. We're going to grease our pan. This is not my most favorite greaser. Normally, if you were cooking the crust, you wouldn't have to grease it, but because we don't have that pie crust, we definitely want to have that barrier there so the eggs don't cook and stick to the pan. Okay. There we go. So, and I'm going to go ahead and add this to the pan. There we go. And quiches are probably one of my favorite things to make because it was the first thing I learned how to cook. My dad taught me how to make quiches. And for my mom, for her birthday one year, at her kitchen, she let me cook dinner for her and I made her a quiche. So I was calling up my dad, asking him how to make it. It's just a really special moment. So quiches, or frittatas, have a special place in my heart. Okay, so I went ahead and added that in. I'm gonna add that spinach. I chopped it up just so it kind of has a nice even texture so you don't just get those big chunks of spinach. And the reason I didn't add them to the pan with the other ingredients is because I don't want them to get wilted like that because then they kind of get slimy. So I'm just gonna leave them like this. I'm gonna go ahead and add my feta, kind of get that all mixed in. And guys, I'm just winging this, so let's hope it turns out pretty good. We're generally following a recipe, like looked up what temperature to turn the oven to. It's in a little video you didn't see, but I turned it to 375. So we got that going. Right, now I'm gonna go ahead, add in the eggs. Kind of let them go over. And try to mix it all in. I'm gonna take that leaf out, too big. Okay. So this would be great for breakfast, lunch, dinner, leftovers, literally anything. Okay, so there we go. Kind of got that all covered. And now we're going to stick it in the oven. We're gonna start with 25 minutes. See where that takes us. I think it might be a little bit longer, maybe like 35 minutes. But when you're reading a recipe, you always want to start with the lower temperature because depending on your elevation, oven type, it might differ between each person. And so you always start the lowest and add from there because once you go past it, there's no going back. You don't always add more time. So let's go ahead and add this in. And I'm gonna set my timer, 25 minutes. And then I'm gonna go ahead and clean up. And then while that's cooking, we got the rolls ready. And then thankfully the recipes were the same temperature type, so 375. So while we pull out the quiche, we're gonna let that cool. We're gonna stick in the croissants and let them cook, and then everything will come together at the end. We'll have hot croissants, a nice warm quiche, and we'll be able to enjoy it together. Okay, so our timer's done. Let's take a look at it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out. Looks good. Let me grab a knife really quick. Let's put something in the middle and see what's done. Okay. Let's see. So it's still kind of watery in there. Can you see that? I think, let's give it 5 more minutes. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so now we're gonna look at it for the second time. Okay, now it's getting a little bit brown on top, which is perfect. Grab my knife. Let's kind of check a different spot. Okay, that looks a lot better. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out. I'm gonna let it cool, because while it's cooling, it's still cooking. And then we'll put in our croissants. So let's pull this out. Put these in. And we'll set the timer again for 11 minutes. so our crescent rolls are done. Turn the oven off. Let's go ahead, pull them out, nice and brown. Set those aside. All right, so now let's get a little knife and cut this open. Let me grab a plate for us to eat. Go. A knife that I want, actually. Let's use a little knife. A little paring knife. Okay, so it should be cool, but I'm still gonna use this just in case. It's gonna give it a nice cut. Okay, start with a little slice there. Your bow in the background. And then let's get out, let's see how this turns out. Little spatula. All right, there we go. So go ahead, set that there. And then we'll add a little croissant. And here's kind of like the magical touch. So growing up, my dad would always put sour cream on his quiche. However, I don't have sour cream, but I do have, I believe, let's find out, some plain Greek yogurt. Wait, I forgot, I have this big one right here. Okay, some plain Greek yogurt. Get our fork out. Let's do like a little dollop on top. All right, so now we're gonna try it. Okay, let's see.